February 14, 1945, 4:47 hours. The Hurtgen Forest. Staff Sergeant Marcus Mac Donovan, 23, from Pittsburgh, crouches in a frozen foxhole 30 yards from a German bunker complex. His fingers are numb around the grip of his M3 submachine gun. The weapon GIs call the grease gun because it looks like something a mechanic would use. The metallic taste of fear fills his mouth. He's got 30 rounds in his magazine. The Germans have an MG-42 machine gun that fires 1/200 rounds per minute. The math doesn't work in his favor. His squad has been pinned here for 40 minutes. 3 men already dead. The MG-42 chatters again. That sound like ripping canvas that makes every American soldier's blood run cold. Donovan presses himself into the frozen earth. He can see his breath in the pre-dawn darkness. Can hear Lieutenant Foster screaming for covering fire. Can feel the weight of what comes next. Donovan looks down at his grease gun. Standard issue, 30-round magazine, 300 rounds, per minute rate of fire. He's carrying 4 spare magazines in his pouches, 120 rounds total against a fortress. Then he sees Private Williams 20 feet to his left. Williams has something different, something that makes Donovan's eyes go wide, even through the terror. 3 magazines welded together on Williams's grease gun. 90 rounds before reloading. The private grins through the dirt on his face and mouths 2 words. Watch this. By February 1945, the American infantry faced a crisis that threatened to bleed the Allied advance white before it reached Berlin. The M3 submachine gun, officially designated the M3 .45 caliber submachine gun, commonly called the grease gun, had entered service in December 1942 as a replacement for the expensive, complicated Thompson submachine gun. Cost-effective at $20 per unit compared to the Thompson's $200, weighing just 8 pounds empty versus the Thompson's 10.6 pounds, the M3 seemed like the perfect solution for mass production warfare. But the German military had learned brutal lessons from the Eastern Front. By 1944, their defensive doctrine emphasized sustained automatic fire from fortified positions. The MG-42 machine gun, nicknamed Hitler's buzzsaw, could maintain 1/200 rounds per minute. German defensive positions in France, Belgium, and Germany itself featured interlocking fields of fire, requiring attackers to suppress multiple positions simultaneously to advance. The Hurtgen Forest Campaign, September 1944 to February 1945, revealed the deadly mathematics. American casualties reached 33,000 men, 24,000 wounded, 9,000 killed or missing. Infantry squads armed with M1 Garands and M3 grease guns found themselves unable to maintain suppressive fire long enough to advance against entrenched German positions. The problem was firepower duration. A Thompson submachine gun carried 20 or 30 rounds, depending on magazine type. The M3 grease gun held 30 rounds in its standard box magazine. Against a German MG-42 team that could fire 1/200 rounds before overheating, American infantry couldn't sustain fire long enough to allow squad maneuvers. Squad tactics required covering fire while elements advanced by bounds. Standard doctrine called for one fire team to suppress enemy positions while another team moved. But when your suppressing fire ran dry after 10 seconds, the advancing team died in the open. Battle of the Bulge, December 1944, made it worse. German Ardennes offensive caught American forces in brutal close-quarters forest combat. The 106th Infantry Division lost 8,000 men in the first 3 days. Survivors reported the same problem repeatedly. insufficient sustained automatic fire to suppress German positions during critical moments. First Army Headquarters received after-action reports throughout January 1945. Company commanders documented the problem with cold precision. Captain James Hendricks, Company C, 26th Infantry Regiment, wrote, "During assault on fortified positions, January 12th, friendly casualties increased 40% during magazine changes on submachine guns. Enemy automatic weapons maintained fire throughout our advances. Request immediate solution. The mathematics killed men. A 30-round magazine at 300 rounds per minute provided 6 seconds of continuous fire. Changing magazines required 4 to 6 seconds depending on soldier proficiency. German MG-42 teams could fire through these gaps without interruption. Ordnance Department studied the problem through December 1944 and January 1945. Official channels would require months of testing, committee reviews, and production changes. Men died while paperwork circulated through Washington. But frontline armories didn't wait for official channels. If you want to see how American ingenuity solved what official channels couldn't, hit that like button and subscribe. These stories of battlefield innovation deserve to be remembered. Back to Staff Sergeant Donovan. The triple magazine. Modifications started appearing in frontline units throughout January 1945. Nobody knows exactly who welded the first one. Some historians credit the 1st Infantry Division's armory at Verviers, Belgium. Others point to the 9th Infantry Division's maintenance company near Düren, Germany. What matters is that by early February, the modification was spreading through 1st Army units like wildfire. The design was brutally simple. 3 standard M3 30-round magazines welded side by side into a single unit. Total capacity, 90 rounds. Total weight, 4.2 pounds loaded compared to 1.4 pounds for a single magazine. The magazines positioned parallel to each other, offset slightly to allow the feed lips to align with the M3's magazine well. Armory sergeants used whatever welding equipment they had. Some used arc welders. Others used acetylene torches. The welds didn't need to be pretty. They needed to hold under combat stress. Most attached thin metal plates on the back and front surfaces, creating a rigid assembly. Some added metal straps. A few used steel wire wrapping. The modification required precision in one critical area, feed angle. The M3's magazine well-accepted magazines, at a specific angle and depth. The center magazine of the triple assembly needed to maintain this exact positioning. Side magazines could shift slightly, but the center feeding magazine had to lock solidly. Weight distribution was the second engineering challenge. A loaded triple magazine assembly weighed 4.2 pounds, hanging from the weapon's magazine well. The M3's sheet metal construction wasn't designed for this stress. Early versions bent the magazine housing or cracked the spot welds around the receiver. Armorers solved this with reinforcement plates. A curved steel plate attached to the forward grip area distributed the weight across a larger surface area of the receiver. Some versions used a leather strap from the barrel jacket to the magazine housing to transfer weight to the barrel assembly. The triple magazine system worked on a simple principle: sustained fire without magazine changes. A soldier could fire 90 rounds continuously. 30 seconds of full automatic fire at the M3's 300 rounds per minute cyclic rate. More importantly, controlled bursts of 5 to 10 rounds could suppress a position through an entire squad movement without reloading. Lieutenant Colonel Robert Hayes, 18th Infantry Regiment, saw the first test firing at Verviers on January 28, 1945. He described it in a letter declassified in 1982. The damned thing looked like something from a comic book. 3 magazines sticking out like a steel hand. But when Sergeant Morris opened up, I counted to 30 before he ran dry. 30 seconds of continuous fire from a grease gun. The look on Captain Morrison's face was something I'll never forget. The name came from German prisoners. Throughout February and March 1945, captured Wehrmacht and Waffen-SS soldiers used variations of the same phrase, Endloser Sturm, endless storm. One prisoner, Gefreiter Hans Kleist, of the 12th Volksgrenadier Division, told interrogators on March 3, 1945, "We called them the endless storm guns. The Americans would fire and never stop. We knew the grease gun had 30 rounds. We counted. But these never ended. Some men broke and ran." By mid-February, frontline armories couldn't produce triple magazines fast enough. The 1st Infantry Division's armory at Verviers received 400 M3 submachine guns for modification in the first week of February. They delivered 127 completed triple magazine assemblies. The 9th Infantry Division's armory at Düren converted 218 weapons between February 5 and February 28. Standard operating procedure emerged through trial and error. Soldiers carried the weapon with the triple magazine attached. Spare single magazines went in ammunition pouches for reload situations. The triple magazine wasn't designed to be changed in combat. It was designed to eliminate the need to change magazines during critical moments. February 14th, 1945. 4:48 hours. Donovan watches Private Williams rise from his position. The kid, and Williams is a kid, 19 years old from some town in Ohio, moves with the triple magazine grease gun at his hip. The weapon looks ungainly. 3 magazines welded together catch the dim light. 90 rounds ready to fire. Williams doesn't run. He walks, stride purposeful. The MG-42 in the bunker hasn't seen him yet. Donovan knows what comes next. Knows the mathematics have changed. Knows Williams has 30 seconds of continuous fire. The German machine gun traverses. Finds Williams. The muzzle flashes start. Williams fires first. The grease gun's slow, deliberate chatter, thump, 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 fills the forest. Tracer rounds every 5th round. Donovan can see them arc toward the bunker. 40 yards. Williams walks forward, firing. The triple magazine system allows sustained fire without the desperate reloading that gets men killed. 10 seconds, 20 rounds expended. Williams still firing. The German MG-42 goes silent. Donovan sees movement in the bunker aperture. Germans trying to reposition. Williams keeps firing. 30 seconds, 60 rounds down the range. Lieutenant Foster screams, "Now! Move now!" Donovan launches from his foxhole. 6 other men move with him. The distance closes, 35 yards, 30 yards. Williams still firing. The sound doesn't stop. Germans in the bunker can't return fire. Williams' sustained stream of .45 caliber rounds keeps them pinned. Every time they try to expose themselves to aim, another burst forces them down, 25 yards. Donovan's lungs burn. Williams burns through his 90th round, finally stops, drops behind cover to reload with a standard magazine. But the gap doesn't matter anymore. The squad has closed to grenade range. Foster throws first. The Mark II fragmentation grenade arcs perfectly through the bunker aperture. 2 seconds. 3. The explosion is muffled by concrete, screaming from inside. 2 more grenades. The MG-42 goes permanently silent. Total time from Williams' first shot to bunker neutralization, 48 seconds. Friendly casualties, 0. Enemy casualties, 6 Germans dead, 3 wounded, 4 captured. Later that morning, after the position is secure, Donovan examines Williams' triple magazine system. The welds held, no failures, no jams. The weapon fired 90 rounds without interruption. Captain Hendricks requests 12 more for the company. By that evening, Donovan has his own. The next engagement comes February 16th, 1945. 13:20 hours. Village of Schmidt, Germany. Company C assaults a German-held factory complex. 4 buildings, estimated enemy strength 40 to 60 soldiers. Donovan's squad draws the main building. 3 stories, brick construction, multiple firing positions. Standard assault doctrine says they'll need artillery or armor support. They have neither. Donovan has 4 men with triple magazine grease guns now. The plan is simple. The mathematics are better. The assault begins. Donovan and Williams provide base of fire from a destroyed truck 30 yards from the building. The triple magazines allow something new, suppressive fire that doesn't end. 10-round bursts. Pause 2 seconds. Another burst. The grease gun's relatively slow rate of fire, 300 rounds per minute compared to the Thompson's 700, means better ammunition conservation while maintaining sustained suppression. Corporal Jimmy Diaz and Private First Class Robert Chen flank right with their triple magazine weapons. Sergeant Harold Wade leads the assault element, 6 men with rifles and grenades. The timing requires precision. Wade's team needs 20 seconds to cross the kill zone. 20 seconds of continuous covering fire. Donovan fires, Williams fires, Diaz fires, Chen fires. 90 rounds per weapon. 360 rounds total available. The brick facade of the factory chips and cracks under the .45 caliber impacts. Not penetrating, suppressing. Germans inside can't expose themselves to aim without taking fire. Wade's team moves. 20 yards, 15. German return fire starts. Sporadic, unaimed shots from windows. The triple magazine grease guns answer immediately. Sustained bursts. 30 seconds into the engagement, nobody has reloaded yet. Wade reaches the building wall. Grenades through windows. The assault element enters. Close quarters fighting. By 13:47 hours, the building is secured. Company casualties, 2 wounded. German casualties, 14 dead, 21 captured, estimated 15 escaped through rear exits. Battalion intelligence interviews the prisoners. One statement stands out. Obergefreiter Friedrich Weber, 89th Infantry Division. We knew American automatic weapons. We counted their shots, but these never stopped. 1 man fired for 30 seconds without pause. We could not return fire, could not aim. When we tried, more fire came. It was like a storm without end. Through February and March 1945, units equipped with triple magazine grease guns report casualty reductions averaging 27% during bunker assaults compared to previous operations. The 26th Infantry Regiment tracks results meticulously. 43 engagements between February 14 and March 30th. Pre-triple magazine operations. Average 4.2 friendly casualties per fortified position assault. Post-triple magazine operations. Average 2.8 friendly casualties. The modification saves lives through mathematics. 90 continuous rounds means 30 seconds without vulnerable magazine changes. 30 seconds allows squad maneuvers that previously required multiple fire teams, expending hundreds of rounds through desperate, interrupted suppression. By March 1st, 1945, 1st Army Headquarters officially acknowledged the triple magazine modification through Field Memorandum 44-45, issued March 3rd. The document didn't authorize the modification. It documented existing practice and provided guidelines for standardization. The memorandum specified welding procedures, weight limits, and testing protocols. Minimum weld strength, 400 pounds tensile. Maximum total assembly weight, 4.5 pounds. Required function testing, 100 continuous rounds without stoppage. Magazines had to be matched by manufacturer to ensure consistent spring tension. Production remained decentralized. Division and regimental armories continued fabrication. The 1st Infantry Division produced 847 triple magazine assemblies between February 1st and April 30th, 1945. The 9th Infantry Division produced 623. The 2nd Infantry Division produced 512. Other divisions produced smaller numbers, but by April 1945, an estimated 3,200 to 3,800 triple magazine M3 submachine guns served with 1st Army units. Supply constraints limited broader adoption. Each triple magazine assembly required 3 standard M3 magazines. Theater supply priorities focused on ammunition and spare parts for primary weapons systems. Converting magazines into triple assemblies reduced spare magazine availability. Some units prioritized triple magazines for squad leaders and designated suppression roles. Others distributed them more broadly. Maintenance issues emerged through March. The added weight stressed M3 receiver welds. Weapons showed accelerated wear on feed ramps and extractors. Armorers reported increased maintenance requirements, approximately 40% higher than standard M3 submachine guns. But units considered this acceptable. A weapon that kept men alive through sustained fire was worth extra maintenance time. The German response evolved rapidly. Wehrmacht intelligence bulletins from March 1945, captured after the war, specifically mentioned American submachine guns with multiple magazine capacity. One document from El Service Armée Corps, dated March 18, 1945, advised American automatic weapons now demonstrate sustained fire capability previously unknown. Defensive positions must assume suppressive fire will continue through standard assault movement times. Recommend revised defensive tactics, emphasizing overhead cover and protected firing positions. The tactical impact appeared in unexpected ways. German defenders became reluctant to engage American infantry at close range. Several after-action reports from March and April 1945 note German units withdrawing from defensive positions when American infantry approached to within 75 yards. Interrogated prisoners cited the sustained automatic fire capability as a factor in these decisions. April 1945 brought the operational climax. First Army crossed the Rhine at Remagen on March 7th. The advance into Germany accelerated. Urban combat intensified. The triple magazine grease gun proved exceptionally valuable in city fighting, Aachen, Cologne, Essen, street to street, building to building. The triple magazine modification allowed clearing teams to suppress windows and doorways continuously during entry operations. Technical Sergeant Raymond Tucker, 16th Infantry Regiment, described operations in Cologne on March 29th. We'd have one man with a triple mag grease gun at every entry point. He'd fire into the room, sustained bursts, keeping everyone's head down, while the assault element entered. Changed everything. Used to lose men on every room entry. Now we could suppress continuously. Enemy equipment captured in April showed German attempts to replicate the concept. Several MP-40 submachine guns were recovered with dual magazine clamps, 2 .32 round magazines side by side. Less elegant than the American triple magazine weld, and only 64 round capacity, but the same principle. Germans recognized the tactical advantage and tried to counter it. But by April 1945, German material capabilities couldn't match American production. First Army continued receiving standard M3 magazines for conversion. German forces scrounged increasingly scarce ammunition and parts. The industrial war had been decided. The triple magazine modification was one small example of American capacity to innovate and implement solutions at scale. The engineering behind the triple magazine system reveals the genius of expedient battlefield modification. The M3 submachine gun operated on a simple blowback principle. A bolt weighing 0.5 pounds traveled rearward under the force of gas pressure when a round fired. A recoil spring returned the bolt forward, stripping a new round from the magazine and chambering it. Rate of fire, 300 rounds per minute, was controlled purely by bolt weight and spring tension. The standard M3 magazine was a single-position feed design. Rounds stacked vertically in a stamped steel box. A follower spring pushed rounds upward. Feed lips at the magazine top guided rounds into the bolt's path. Simple, reliable, limited capacity. The triple magazine modification didn't change the weapon's operating mechanism. It changed ammunition availability. 3 magazines welded into a rigid assembly meant 90 rounds accessible without mechanical complexity. No complicated feed mechanisms, no multiple feed paths. Just 3 separate 30-round magazines, one feeding the weapon while 2 others waited. Soldiers loaded all 3 magazines simultaneously before combat. Some used loading tools, small devices that compressed magazine springs to ease round insertion. Most loaded by hand. 90 rounds of 45 ACP ammunition took approximately 6 minutes to load into 3 magazines for an experienced soldier. The center magazine fed first in most configurations. When emptied, the soldier rotated the entire assembly 90 degrees, positioning a full-side magazine into the feed position. This rotation took approximately 3 seconds, faster than changing to a completely separate magazine. After the second magazine emptied, another rotation brought the third magazine into position. Weight distribution remained the critical challenge. A loaded triple magazine assembly created significant torque on the magazine well. The M3's sheet metal receiver wasn't designed for this stress. Field modifications to compensate included steel reinforcement plates welded to the receiver around the magazine well. Approximately 40% of triple magazine weapons received this modification. Leather or canvas straps from the barrel jacket to the magazine assembly, creating a support sling that transferred weight forward. Approximately 30% used this method. Modified forward grips with extended base plates that distributed magazine weight across the grip assembly, approximately 15%. Combinations of the above methods, approximately 10%. No modification beyond the basic triple magazine weld, approximately 5%. These weapons showed the highest failure rates. Jamming wasn't significantly worse than standard M3 submachine guns. The M3 had an inherent jamming rate of approximately 0.8%, roughly 8 failures per 1,000 rounds fired under field conditions. Triple magazine weapons showed approximately 1.1% failure rate. The increase came primarily from magazine-related issues. Feed lip damage from the welding process, inconsistent spring tension between magazines in an assembly, or debris accumulation in the multiple magazine wells. Soldiers developed operational techniques. Always fire in controlled bursts of 5 to 10 rounds, rather than full automatic. This conserved ammunition and reduced weapon heating. Clear the weapon after each engagement. The triple magazine assembly's additional metal surfaces collected dirt and debris. Regular cleaning was essential. Inspect weld integrity before each mission. A failed weld in combat could drop 2 magazines, leaving only 30 rounds available. Mark magazines by position. Some soldiers painted colored bands on magazines, red for center, white for left, blue for right, to track which magazines had been fired. The .45 ACP cartridge, 230 grain bullet, at 850 feet per second, provided substantial stopping power at close range, but limited penetration. Against German body armor, rare, or heavy winter clothing, common, multiple hits were often required. The triple magazine's sustained fire capability compensated for this. Rather than precise aimed shots, soldiers could deliver sustained bursts, increasing hit probability through volume of fire. Effective range remained consistent with standard M3 specifications: 50 yards for aimed fire, 100 yards maximum effective range. The triple magazine didn't change ballistics. It changed how long a soldier could maintain fire at that range. A standard M3 provided 6 seconds of continuous fire. A triple magazine M3 provided 30 seconds. In close quarters combat, this difference was life or death. Enemy weapons comparison showed the advantage clearly. The German MP40 fired 550 rounds per minute with a 32-round magazine. Magazine capacity, 32 rounds. Continuous fire time, 3.6 seconds. The German MP43 444 assault rifle fired 500 rounds per minute with a 30-round magazine. Continuous fire time, 3.6 seconds. The American M3 with triple magazine, 90 rounds. Continuous fire time, 30 seconds at 300 rounds per minute cyclic rate, or 3 to 5 minutes of tactical fire using controlled bursts. The triple magazine modification ended with the war. On May 8, 1945, Germany surrendered. By June 1945, theater priorities shifted to occupation duty and demobilization. The urgent tactical need that drove triple magazine development no longer existed. First Army issued directives in July 1945 regarding weapons disposition. Triple magazine assemblies were to be separated and returned to standard configuration. The reasoning was practical. Occupation duty didn't require sustained automatic fire capability, and the modifications increased maintenance requirements couldn't be justified in peacetime. Soldiers didn't want to give them up. Multiple sources from summer 1945 describe attempts to keep the weapons. Some were lost in paperwork. Others were damaged beyond repair and destroyed rather than converted back. A few made it home in footlockers and duffel bags, though official regulations prohibited this. By October 1945, fewer than 100 triple magazine M3 submachine guns remained in Army inventory. Most of these served with military police units in occupied Germany and Austria, where the weapon's intimidation factor proved useful for crowd control and facility security. The last known official use was with MP units in Berlin through early 1946. The Korean War, June 1950 to July 1953, saw renewed interest. Some Army armorers remembered the triple magazine modification from World War II. Several attempts at recreation occurred in theater armories in 1951 and 1952. But the M3 submachine gun itself was being phased out, replaced by the M1E M2 carbine for most infantry roles. The EU triple magazine concept didn't gain traction. The modification was never officially classified, but it wasn't publicized either. Army small arms development focused on new weapons rather than field expedient modifications to obsolete systems. The M3 grease gun remained in limited use through the 1950s and 1960s, primarily with armored vehicle crews and special units, but always in standard configuration. Modern military forces use similar principles with different technology. The M249 Squad Automatic Weapon, introduced in 1984, fires 200-round belts, providing sustained suppressive fire. The concept, sustained automatic fire to suppress enemy positions during squad maneuvers, matches exactly what the triple-magazine grease gun accomplished in 1945. The engineering is more sophisticated, but the tactical application is identical. Collectors occasionally find triple-magazine M3 submachine guns. Most are deactivated or registered with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives as National Firearms Act weapons. Authentication is challenging, determining whether a triple-magazine assembly is a genuine World War II field modification or a modern reproduction requires careful examination of welding techniques, magazine matching, and receiver modifications. Museums hold a few examples. The National World War II Museum in New Orleans displays one triple-magazine M3, donated by a veteran's family in 2003. The West Point Museum has two in storage, not currently displayed. The Smithsonian National Museum of American History holds one in its military history collection, catalog number 2007.0156.04. Staff Sergeant Marcus Donovan survived the war. He returned to Pittsburgh in September 1945, worked 42 years at a steel mill, raised 3 children. He kept a photograph from Germany. His squad posed with their weapons. 4 men holding triple-magazine grease guns. He would sometimes point to the photo and tell his grandchildren, "That thing saved my life 6 times I can count." Private Donald Williams, the kid from Ohio who walked into machine gun fire on February 14, 1945, received a Silver Star for his actions that morning. He survived the war, returned home to Youngstown, opened a hardware store. He kept his service records in a safe deposit box. In the 1980s, he spoke at local schools about his war experience. When asked what he remembered most clearly, he always said the same thing: the sound of 90 rounds firing without stopping, the sound of staying alive. Lieutenant Colonel Robert Hayes, who witnessed the first test firing, continued his Army career, retiring as a colonel in 1961. His personal papers donated to the Army Heritage and Education Center in 2004 include letters and photographs documenting the triple-magazine modification's development and use. His February 1945 correspondence provides the most detailed contemporary account of the modification's creation and implementation. The story remained largely unknown outside military history circles for decades. The men who used triple-magazine grease guns rarely spoke about them specifically. They were just tools, expedient solutions to tactical problems. The weapons themselves mostly disappeared, converted back to standard configuration, destroyed or lost in the chaos of demobilization. But the principle survived. American military doctrine still emphasizes the importance of sustained suppressive fire during infantry assaults. Modern squad automatic weapons, helicopter door guns, and vehicle-mounted systems all provide what those welded-together magazines delivered in 1945. Enough firepower to keep enemy heads down while friendly forces advance. The German prisoners, who called them Endloser Sturm, endless storm, understood something fundamental. War is about mathematics, about firepower duration, about who can maintain suppression long enough to allow maneuver. The triple magazine modification changed that mathematics in favor of American infantry during the final months of World War II in Europe. It wasn't elegant. It wasn't officially sanctioned until it was already widespread. It wasn't a technological marvel, but it worked, and working was enough. These stories of innovation under fire deserve to be remembered. The men who welded magazines together in frontline armories. The soldiers who carried ungainly weapons into combat because those weapons kept their friends alive. The lives saved by simple solutions to complex tactical problems. If this story moved you, hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel for more deep dives into military history that doesn't make it into textbooks. Click the notification bell so you don't miss our next video about the weapons and tactics that changed warfare. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, or if you have family who served in World War II. These stories connect us to a generation that solved impossible problems through courage and ingenuity. To Staff Sergeant Marcus Donovan, Private Donald Williams, Lieutenant Colonel Robert Hayes, and the thousands of American soldiers who carried triple magazine grease guns through the final battles of World War II. Thank you. Your innovation is remembered. Your sacrifice is honored.